citizens, people who don't carry a press badge, were tear gassed and shot in their own yards with rubber bullets. And so I think that we've got to take a really honest look at those things. And I hope that Attorney General Holder will do what we know that he is capable of and take a very hard look at this investigation in terms of the death of Michael Brown, but also choose to investigate the police forces who were in charge of securing these communities.
Dr. Tillett, in light of what Ms. Taylor just said, are we giving Obama a pass, though? Because if we're holding the governor responsible and local officials responsible, this man has the power of the United States military behind him. He has the bully pulpit of national consciousness. So given what Ms. Taylor has just indicated, and I think and thoroughly so, we should even hold President Obama to a higher standard, perhaps, to set the tone here to make sure that black life is respected and that those people who have a right of public and peaceful assembly are protected as well.
Well, you know, when Representative John Lewis asked for the National Guard to be present, he wasn't asking for more militarization in a sense of, you know, what we're currently seeing. He was actually, you know, referencing his own civil rights activism and the ways in which civil rights activists had to call on Kennedy and then Johnson to protect activists from the white racist citizens as well as their local law officials. So I think the call for a stronger federal presence, both in terms of the National Guard, but also, you know, it's these individual cases on their own are horrific, but over the last year, much less last 2 years, much less the long history of American criminalization of black youth, this is a cumulative effect. And so what I think I hope we don't lose sight of the fact that it's the numbers of black young people piling up, the death of them piling up is not just a tragedy, but at this point it's a huge problem for American democracy and equality. And one of the things, if you think going back to FDR and his refusal to pass the anti-lynching bill is a huge failure on the part of FDR. I would hope that this is not seen as Obama's legacy on race, but I think it's up to us citizens, but more ultimately the President of the United States to figure out what his legacy on race will be and what policies and interventions he really wants to make today, and using the government to do that.
What about that, Goldie Taylor, the cumulative impact of black mortality, black youth under siege, and a black president in the White House? What more can be done to leverage the authority of that particular office to intervene in specific fashion on the events that we see going on here, not only today, but as Dr. Tillett said, over the last 2-3 years?
You know, frankly, change has to happen at the community level. You know, for us to sort of parachute in with advocacy and try to, you know, sort of plant these seeds and create movements won't be sustainable unless and until we can partner with those communities and those young people, frankly, who are on the street venting their frustrations. Unless we can partner with them directly to sow the seeds of change, then we won't see any sustainable change.
Goldie Taylor, LBJ, remember LBJ, remember Lyndon Baines Johnson was involved from the White House setting the tone. Right, but remember Lyndon Baines Johnson gave speeches from the White House saying we will intervene. Remember when presidents who were insisting, John F. Kennedy insisted that we will do something here. You're absolutely right in terms of forging links with the local community, but often the federal government had to intervene because the local municipalities were not paying attention to the civil rights of the local people there. So how do we talk about, how do we exonerate?
I went to high school there. It's not an either or, but a both and. So
right,
yes, there's a tone to be set for this White House. But there's also action and organizing to be taken on this street.
Right. No, absolutely. All right, Salamisha Tillett and Goldie Taylor, thank you so much. Coming up in Pretenders, Rick Snyder tries to be a man of the people and fails miserably. Plus, we're taking a closer look at the recent history of excessive force used by the police. But next, I'm taking your questions. Ask Med Live is just ahead. Stay tuned.